Do we open it to the public and make it just everybody can come? And then can we get enough workers? So those were all of the concerns that people had. And most of the responses to the survey wanted us to push our date to July because we were already set for June 22nd. And they've asked if we can move it to July and have more time to think about and prepare for VBS. So that's where we are. And Sarah, did you want me to talk about having a traditional VBS?
Yeah, go ahead and just talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so you know in Indiana we have our back on track. We have the dates that our governor has given us where we can get back into social gatherings. And so May 24th, we would be allowed to have 100 people in a social gathering. And on June 14th, we would be allowed to have 250 people in a social gathering. But my question is, how do you social distance with kids when you get them all together? So that's a concern that I have. But if you are allowed to have a traditional VBS, if you feel like that it's safe to meet in your area, it's safe to meet, then you could possibly consider doing it a little differently this year, like maybe moving the date to a little bit later in the summer, and scaling back on decorations and focusing just on key areas. You could do a lot of things online with pre-registration and training your workers and doing a lot of things virtually. You can help the parents feel secure by just publishing how you're going to sanitize your building and how you're going to maybe have smaller class sizes so that parents would feel safe bringing their kids. And rethink how you train your volunteers, maybe doing things, Zoom meetings to train people so that you can start earlier with the training, but have your VBS later when people feel safer getting together. And then changing up your promotion strategies, such as mailing out invitations with snail mail and making phone calls and having social media blast about your VBS. So those are just some ideas if you're thinking about traditional VBS.
Yeah, I think that's great. You know, some of the things that I think are most important is just maintaining the cleanliness of our church, just how important that is at this point, you know, helping our parents to feel safe with our kids. So every day there would have to be a cleaning, which we don't probably normally do as much. Deep clean, like making sure everything's wiped down, making sure that we have hand sanitizer everywhere, just all of those things that we wouldn't normally think as much about, we have to think in great detail about. So just as we plan on going back to regular services, this would be the same sort of things that we need to think through as we look towards doing a traditional VBS. And like Emily said, I think one of the most important things is just we probably have to push our date out to July or August, depending on when your schools start, and if we do go back to school. So it's a lot of just watching, waiting, seeing, is it possible in our time? Is this going to be possible for this summer? Another possibility may be, like some of you have mentioned, pushing the entire thing out to fall break and doing a traditional VBS, but doing it over fall break. Some schools have 2 weeks off in fall break, and these kids may be ready for something like a vacation Bible school during that time. So that may be another option for your church, is just doing a traditional VBS, but pushing the date out to fall, or even maybe spring, depending on where we're at as far as the COVID thing goes. So another option would be backyard Bible clubs. How many of you have done a backyard Bible club before? Shay, you've done a backyard Bible club. Are you guys doing that this year?
We haven't made any plans yet. Last year, we did something similar. We went to like parks and neighborhoods and apartment complexes and kind of took it to them. But we've talked about possibly having our members do different smaller VBSs in their neighborhood, like with backyard Bible clubs.
Great. So who else has done a backyard Bible club before? Dorothy, you want to give us a little bit of information about how it went for you?
Yes, they went really well. About 2 years ago, we did backyard Bible clubs. That's actually what we're thinking of doing this year. Just backyard Bible clubs. It'll be easier to social distance.
So what are some of the things that you're having to think through as you look towards doing a backyard Bible club, Dorothy?
Actually, we're just beginning. So that's a good question. That's why I thought, oh, maybe I'll get some good ideas from this today. 'Cause we're just beginning to put this together.
Well, some of the things that we would need to think through is finding the host homes, like Shay. I think that that's so important. I know that when we did a backyard Bible club several years ago, we found that we reached out to families that we had never seen in church before. And there were different people that came to the backyard Bible clubs than what came to our actual vacation Bible school that we did in our church. And the good thing about if you have host homes, they will be inviting the people in their neighborhood and be able to reach out to their neighbors, and it'll give them an outlet to invite people into their backyards, their neighbors into their backyards. So it'll be giving them a way to do missions in their own neighborhood. So as you think about that, some of the things you may need to think through is that you want to have somebody be a host home, and then have other people that are coming in to help them to actually lead the VBS. You can use the leaders that if you have already recruited people, you can begin by using those people that you've already recruited to help with those host homes. So you can still have somebody in charge of the Bible story, somebody in charge of bringing snacks around to the different host homes. All of those different things are possibilities. Just using the people that you already know love VBS and want to help with VBS. Just you'll be changing from what you were planning with the traditional VBS and just kind of shifting it all over to those backyard Bible clubs. So another thing is just thinking about what your rotations will include. You may not be able to do everything that you would normally do in a traditional VBS. You may have to think about maybe cutting out some of the different rotations, whether that be crafts. Maybe you wouldn't do crafts every day. Maybe you would just do crafts one of the days or 2 of the days. Do the missions track just 1 or 2 of the days, rather than doing everything every day. So you just have to just kind of be creative and think through some of those challenges that you might have. Shay, what were would you mind sharing what some of the challenges were or some of the positive things were when you did backyard Bible clubs?
Well, I think the way that we did it, it might be a little bit different. So maybe it's not considered a backyard Bible club. We were just trying to think of how we could take VBS out into the community and reach the community. So one of the benefits that we had is that people felt more comfortable. Like you said, we had the majority of people that came to ours were not churched. So we probably had about 75 to 80% of the people that we were able to encounter were not connected to our church at all, other than just outreach. So I think it was a way to get our church on mission. And at the same time, it was good for our kids. I know it was good for my son because it kind of gave him a vision of wanting to reach out to neighbors and to love on the community, and he got to build some relationships, and it was just good all the way around. It was very beneficial for us. Challenges, I guess, mobilizing the volunteers and kind of changing the mindset to that it's not just they're coming to us, we're going to people, and we're opening up our homes and our lives. So
great. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is so true. Just the on mission aspect and being able to reach out to people who we normally wouldn't be reaching. I think that is one of the greatest things about backyard Bible clubs, and that's what we experienced as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So we've never tried a backyard barbecue. I know, think about food. We've never tried a backyard VBS, have always thought about it. But my question, even during this time, is still social distancing. Children get outside, they want to run together, they want to touch, they want to do all that. So we don't have to think about maybe the cleaning aspect of equipment, but what does that still look like for social distancing would be the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the exact answer to that. I think waiting until some of the other people maybe go back and do things and we start seeing how other people are handling it. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing as a church, is just waiting. It is definitely a challenge. And I think that's going to be a hard part about social distancing. One thing that I think may be helpful that I was thinking about is even if we do backyard Bible clubs, maybe doing it with families in mind, family units, and that way maybe the family can help to maintain the social distancing. You know, you can put some of that responsibility onto parents, to the guardian, whoever brings them, to help with maintaining that social distance. I think no matter what, social distancing is going to be a challenge for kids. We're going to struggle. They're going to struggle when they go back to school. How are they going to do that? You know, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
I talked to yesterday one of the child cares that recently opened back up to do helping with essential workers doing child care. And so I'm like, okay, what does that look like? So 3 and up, the children 3 and up are wearing masks. She said it was hilarious at first. I'm hot, this is too much, it's choking me. All that kind of stuff was going on with the mask. So that's the other thing. Would we require masks for the children even? And she said, as far as keeping them social distance, they're doing more of small group activities and trying to space them out and spread them out. Whereas there may have been 5 people in housekeeping. Now they're allowing 2 there. So trying to space it out and do activities like that. So just a thought.
Yeah, and that would be the good thing about backyard Bible clubs, is that would be a lot easier to do that, because you'd already be in a small group as a backyard Bible club, and then you can even be in smaller groups as you do the different rotations or however you decide to do it. But it would be a lot easier to maintain the smaller groups. So that's definitely, I would say, a positive of the backyard Bible clubs. Anybody else have any thoughts or any concerns or any questions and things that we can discuss about the backyard Bible club?
And the positive about a backyard Bible club, I know when we did it before, we usually just had 10 to 12 kids, or I think even with our workers and children, it was a dozen. So that is one positive, keeping the group small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Sarah, I really like the aspect of mixing those two, backyard Bible clubs over fall break. I think by fall break, the kids might really be more than ready to do something. And the small groups, the backyard aspect of it would be a way to keep those groups smaller, intentionally smaller, and build relationships for the church at the same time.
Yes, that's a good point, Larry. I think getting those smaller groups really does help to develop relationships and develop that closeness within that group. And so I think that's a really good point as well. And by fall break, our kids are definitely going to be ready for some interaction with each other. And so I think that's some good points there. Anyone else? All right, the next option is an alternate VBS, and that can look like anything you want. You know, that's the great thing about VBS people, and the people who are passionate about VBS that I've seen is they are very creative, right? And they are very flexible. And so as VBS lovers, I know most of you are, a lot of you are, you know, that's one of the things that we can do is just be completely creative, think out of the box. What are some things that we could do that may not be normal? You know, that may include alternate schedules, maybe just a day celebration of VBS in the fall. You know, we just have a day-long VBS celebration. It could include different VBS events, maybe a parents' night out, or a back-to-school blast that's VBS related or VBS themed. Fall break bonanza type thing, an after school program even. Maybe you just take VBS and you go, wow, our families really are going to be struggling with after school care. Maybe we do an after school VBS that in the fall that just helps to reach out to those families that are struggling with childcare after school. Another church that I had heard of was doing VBS on Sunday mornings. Now that we're having to really focus on family worship, which I know is a struggle for a lot of churches. I heard of one church that decided they were taking their VBS and making it a family worship on Sunday mornings throughout the summer. And so one week they would do like a worship rally as a church body all together, and then maybe do a craft one week or do a game one week. And that may be geared more towards a smaller church, but I think you could make it work in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different situations. But that would be an idea to help get kids involved and maybe excited about coming to worship, because I know that that can be a challenge right now as we look towards having kids in church that may not be used to being in church anymore right now, because so many of our churches do have children's worship for the kids during worship time. So I thought that was a great idea and something that was worth considering. It's a way we could use our curriculum that we may have already purchased in a way that would be helpful for our church. So those are just a few ideas that I had heard. Have you guys heard of any alternate ways of using VBS or outreaches that you would like to share?
Hi, Sarah. My name's Debbie, and one of our local churches here, a sister church down in Montpelier, they're going to do a virtual VBS, I believe using Zoom, and they're making packets. They're going to have the story and maybe some crafts and things online, but they're making packets and they're going to deliver them to all the kids that would sign up, and they'll have their rec paper that they can do. They'll have their craft materials, and they're just going to do it all online like that. So that might be an idea too, to do that. And then you can make some contact with families, but yet social distance, but yet you can do it online because they're used to being online anyway because of school and different things. So that might be an idea.
Yeah, and that was our final option for VBS that I was thinking of, was doing a virtual VBS. Calvary, do you guys want to share what you're doing with your virtual VBS, since you've already planned on doing that? Eric, I can't remember what you said your name was. I'm sorry.
Amy. It's my husband's Zoom account. But yeah, so we're keeping our date for the middle of June. And we are going to use a private Facebook page for all of our families to get on. Morning at 8 a.m. we are going to post our worship, then the Bible story, then a craft tutorial, then the missions, the games, and then the snack. The Saturday before this starts, we are going to have a drive-through VBS where families will drive through and they will get a backpack with all the week's materials inside. So we'll have all the crafts, all the snacks, handouts, activity sheets, all in this backpack. So they just drive up to the church, tell us their name, we hand them their backpack, and they drive on home. So they're ready to go first thing Monday morning. Each day by 8 a.m. we'll have all the materials up on Facebook, but the families can do it whatever time of day works best for them. So if they need something to keep their kids busy while the little ones nap, they can get on Facebook then and do it. If they're more night owls, they can get on the evenings and do it. We have it posted by 8 and they can get to it anytime they want.
So what were some of the challenges that you've been coming across with that? Have you been delegating some of the preparation?
First day.
Yes, so our IT team is working on splicing the Lifeway videos. Lifeway has said as long as you have a CCI streaming license, you can utilize their like the choreography videos on a private Facebook group. So they're working on that. My Bible study teachers, I mean, they're sitting at home and their spouse or somebody's filming them with their cell phone for the Bible lesson and then sending that to us and we upload it that way. I got a person doing crafts. I got a person organizing the games. Again, they're all filming them themselves, sending us those videos, and then we upload them.
Okay, good. Yeah, Lifeway has said that you can include any of their videos in your actual live stream. So you can't say, go to YouTube and just have the video by itself on YouTube. You can't do that. But if you include the let's say the lyric video or the action video or the Bible story video in your live stream, it's fine. They said that that is fine, that you can do that. So just so you know, if you are doing a virtual VBS, Lifeway has given permission for that. You just can't take the individual video and post that. So those are things to be aware of. Another resource that Lifeway is offering for virtual VBS that I thought was really great is the VBS app. I don't know if you guys have used that in the past, but for parents, it's really a great tool. No matter what you decide to do with VBS, it's $2.99, And you can look at all of the music videos. There's all the Bible stories on there. It gives some activities for kids, like different puzzles and matching games and different things like that that have to do with each story of the day. So really, it's worth letting your parents know about that resource, because it'll make their VBS experience easier at home, I think, because they can let the kids watch the videos whenever they want to. So that's a great resource you can be aware of. Let's see. At home. Yeah. So distributing the curriculum is something that can be difficult, but like you were saying, you can drop it off at home. I think you guys had a great idea, having the church members just come and pick it up as a drive-through VBS day. There's different ways you could, if you have to mail it, you could mail it. But there are different ways that you can go about getting that curriculum to them. And I think a virtual VBS can be very effective. We're trying to teach our families how to minister to their kids at home and how to disciple their own kids. And if one thing is coming from this COVID in children's ministry, is it is really putting the responsibility in the plate of the parents more than ever before. If the parents aren't doing it, it's not getting done. And I think there are a lot of parents that are starting to take some responsibility for that. So as a church, us giving them resources to be able to do it at home, I think is a very great thing. And so I think this virtual VBS is a great option for some churches that would like to take it that direction. So if you have not considered doing a virtual VBS, this may be the option that would be good for your church to consider. It will take a lot of forethought, like Amy was saying. You have to think through all of the videotaping and all of that, but once you get it together, it just goes, right, Amy? So it'll be a good thing. I'll be anxious to hear how that goes for your church.
Sarah, Allison must be talking about me. Sorry, Sarah. One of the things we are currently doing, we use Gospel Project for our youth church. And so we are actually having them do a Zoom youth church now. And so they do craft. Everybody's on Zoom and they're doing the craft. They let them know ahead of time what materials they need. And so then they do the music and they're dancing around on Zoom together. And so we're kind of doing that. So that may be the easiest way to maybe try it, to do the virtual piece. I just need to talk with the team that's currently doing youth church. But I like that idea. So
yeah, I mean, I would use whatever platform your church is currently using. We have done Zoom with our kids as well, and they've enjoyed it. It's been a positive experience for them. So Zoom is definitely a way that they can interact. The teacher can show the craft. You can definitely ways that Zoom can be used with our children. Wouldn't normally think that, would we? But but we can use it to minister to our kids as well, whether it be through Sunday school or, as we're talking now, through VBS. So thank you for that, Vanessa.
I have just a thought when talking about alternate VBSs. We've done something in the past called a walk through Bethlehem, where there's different tents, and what you're doing in the walk through Bethlehem is, you're baking the unleavened bread, or you're watching a woodworker, different things like that, until they are sharing the gospel the whole way. But even if VBS, if we set up stations where, as a family, because that's what you did, you walked through as a family through the Bethlehem. And so if maybe as a family you went to the craft section, and then somebody followed behind them and sanitized everything for the next family to come through. Then you walked through the Bible study, then the missions. That may be an option to social distance, where you're just with your family, just that small group walking through each one, and you turn it into this, walk through VBS kind of thing. Just an idea, haven't thought it through, but it would help with the social distancing while still getting the people involved, the church members involved, and and able to get to each of the stations.
Down there.
Yes. I love that idea, Allison. I think that's a great idea.
Come on, Allison, get it together so we can help out. I like that.
Yeah, great idea. That's one of the great things about us coming together and hearing what each other's doing. I know some of the greatest clinics I have been to have been these kind of things where people share what their church is doing and how God has worked in different things that they have done. So let's just open it up. Is there anybody else that has an idea that would that you would like to share with the rest of us that we could maybe able to use in our own churches?
Another idea, we mentioned the Sunday, doing it as a family worship. Our church over the past year has used our Wednesday nights as, because we didn't have enough teachers to separate everybody. And so we do WMU missions. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but we do that as a family anyway. And so all of the families come in, parents are there, kids are there, and we learn missions and Bible study together as a family. And so I think that it would be really easy to incorporate a VBS into a Wednesday night thing over the summer and turn that into, you know, every week we're doing another day of VBS kind of thing. I think that would be a realistic option.
So explain to us a little bit what that looks like on Wednesday night, because some churches have never, ever done anything like that before, where it's more of a family type. So can you give us a little more detail on what that looks like as far as the kids being involved, or how do the families work as a unit?
Mm-hmm. So we, before COVID, I should say, we broke everybody up into groups. And so you had a parent or two parents, not from the same family, at a table. And then you had children from all the families at different tables. And that was kind of their team for the whole year. And we would start out learning about the missionaries, the different struggles, things like that, and the Bible lesson that went along with it. Then there would always be a game or trivia from it that we would answer together, you know, and your team was that. We would often bring in food from wherever we were learning about. And so we incorporate as groups. I mean, we were all there together in one room, but we were able to still socialize with other families that way. And we had children, my babies were there, and they were, right now they're 2 and 4, all the way up 6, 7, and 8. And so we have all the way from that age group, my daughter was the youngest, all the way up to high schoolers, and then parents and grandparents, things like that. All of them were able to join, and we're all there together. And so it's mostly geared toward children, but the parents of the children are the ones there to lead the little small groups, because we'll have little group activities where you come up with, maybe we do a craft together at our table, or we do some coloring activity, whatever we're learning, we do it as a table. And it would be easy enough to say, okay, now that COVID's going on, only your family can sit together and do everything as a family unit. So we're doing the craft as a family. We deliver the food to the table, so nobody has to get up and do the buffet style thing. So, I mean, that's typically what it looks like. And then we always end with a game outside during the summer. During the winter months, we have to get creative with what to do. But right now it's shifted to online. But I think that since we're able to get back together, I think it would be a realistic option to have everybody your child sits at a table, you're all in a room together, social distancing, but we're all going to learn the Bible verse together. We're all going to do the music together as a family. And then you can do the crafts at your table while one person leads it in front. You can do the music while somebody's leading, but you're all standing at your tables, ideally with a big enough area to where you can, social distance table as needed. So I think it's very doable. It's something that we've done. I think it's very unique to our church, and I love that we do this together. It's probably one of my favorite things we do is our Wednesday night family worship time.
I love that, Allison. I think that's a great idea. And making that COVID friendly, I think what you were talking about is having the tables throughout the sanctuary. And some of us have chairs in our sanctuary and could take those chairs out and put tables in our sanctuary and make it where a family, like you were saying, a family unit sits together at these tables throughout the sanctuary. And we would be able to do all of those things, whether it be a family VBS or a family worship in the mornings. I think those are great ideas, Allison. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else have ideas for how we can minister in this COVID crazy world?
I think one of the struggles is, unless we do a backyard Bible study, is probably getting community kids involved. Because we can do VBS for our church family. Sorry about that, I have children. But it's going to be much harder to get community families involved because they typically, I think historically, community families will drop their kids off. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be harder to say, okay, your family goes here and your family goes here if you're just a child with no family, and you're just coming by yourself. So I think the biggest thing is to decide, are we going to do VBS as a discipleship for our children and families, or are we going to do it as an evangelism for the community? And deciding that, I think, would determine what your church does. Is it evangelistic or discipleship? And then go from there, because I don't know that doing a thing on Wednesday night or anything like that would be an evangelistic tool. More so it'll be inward for our church. So I think that's something that needs to be decided before you can decide what you want to do.
Great point. And our purpose for VBS has always been evangelism. I love the idea of backyard Bible clubs. And I think you could use the virtual VBS as well as an outreach. I definitely think there are ways to make that an outreach into our community. Whether families in your church, inviting other families to be involved in virtual VBS, however you want to do that. But I think you can definitely invite families and make a virtual VBS a missions opportunity as well. Anybody else?
Well, I've been thinking a little bit about this, and I was thinking, and going along with what Allison was saying, is what if we moved VBS, if we did a more traditional VBS at church, but we moved it outside so that we have the different rotations still, and we're able to rotate. But one, we know that being outside is better for the virus. We have a lot less to worry about the concerns of being in a room together and the air.
Oh, you froze, Tara.
I don't know how to say that.
Well, I think that what she's saying is definitely valid, that if we are outside, there's going to be less possibility of spreading the disease. But like you were saying, Allison, oh, go ahead. I think you're back, Tara. Nope, maybe not. Like you were saying, Allison, just going behind and making sure that we wipe things down after people are done, I think is a very important aspect of that. So no matter what we do, we're going to have to make sure that we are being clean and being COVID friendly. So
I don't know if this is COVID ideas. I don't know if I have very many COVID friendly ideas, but I think one of the things, if you are doing the backyard Bible clubs, which we've had to adapt because we're a church plant, so we haven't had a facility most of the time. Like we were meeting in elementary school, we're using another church. We're going to be using another church on Sunday nights when we go back at the end of this month. But I think one of the things, if you're thinking about backyard Bible clubs, is thinking about how you can give the kids ownership. To kind of head that up. Hey, this family is taking ownership, and maybe highlighting the kids that are doing this and saying, hey, this is an opportunity to invite your friends or those that you love to be a part of this. And I think we'll have a lot of success that way if you give them ownership and say, hey, invite your neighborhood friends, or maybe even saying this child is sponsoring this Backyard Bible Club at this location, and not parents having ownership with the kids.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was just looking at some of the comments over here. Allison, they want to know what church you go to.
I go to Cross Point Church in Richmond. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Dan Conrad's and Chris Conrad's. So we're over on the east side of the state.
And then there was a question about when will Lifeway stop selling their VBS material? And will they still be selling VBS material in the fall? My guess is that they will have this curriculum for a while because they'll sell it until it's sold out, and I don't think it's going to sell out this summer. So I would say you probably can buy your curriculum probably through the fall, I would imagine. Let's see. All right, I don't see any other questions really there. The only other thing I really wanted to mention to you all was originally I had been talking to Juana, who was doing our Spanish portion of the training for VBS. And she had an awesome testimony of how God had used VBS in the Mexico mission that she's involved in donating things to. A couple of years ago, she had her sister come to VBS training with her from Mexico. She was here from Mexico visiting, had come to the VBS clinic, and she was so excited about taking this VBS curriculum and the training back to her town in Mexico that she went back and led a training and had several churches that had come to the training. God worked in great ways, and her VBS at her church went from 60 kids to 140 kids just in that 1 year. And but the one thing that they were struggling with is just supplies. When we sent with her several Spanish kits back with her so that they would have the actual curriculum for their kids. And the kids were so excited that they had the actual curriculum because they had always just not had any curriculum. They had just gone with whatever they, just whatever they had. And so they had the actual curriculum, the books, they were so excited. And so originally we had talked about asking our churches in Indiana to do a missions offering when they did their missions offering, to have it be for this Mexico mission. And it's just not, haven't been able to really publicize that just because we didn't have the VBS clinic and everything like that. And I know a lot of our churches may be struggling right now, but if you are doing a VBS offering, if you do a VBS, whether it be Backyard Bible Club, traditional, alternate, and you're able to take up a VBS offering, if you would consider just doing it for this Mexico mission, it would be great. Juana just emailed me yesterday and said that they're really struggling right now, mainly because just like all churches during the COVID time, they're not getting the donations that they had been getting. And they're still planning on doing a VBS in the fall. And so be praying for them. It's Pastor Marcos and his family. They are supported completely through donations that are, a lot of it which come from Indiana and churches around Indiana and Juana's church. So if you are at all interested, you can send those donations to the state convention and just write on that check when you send it in that it's for the VBS missions offering, Mexico VBS missions offering. And if you are interested in doing that, I do have pictures of Marcos and his family and some of the pictures from their VBS that they did that I can forward on to you as well. You can get that from me at Bohrer, B-O-H-R-E-R, at scbi.org. And I will send you pictures of Marcos and his family. So just consider doing that as a VBS offering this year. We would appreciate it.
I do not know how to send them a message.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to add from just ideas or questions or comments, anything at all before we close for today?
I want to share one thing we're currently doing that was birthed when COVID started. We're going on live, doing Word Alive at 5, and we do 15 minutes of just encouragement. So we take one scripture for the week, and different people come on live at 5 and just share how that scripture can encourage others. So I was thinking about what does that look like if VBS was live, and instead of doing a 15-minute segment, maybe we did, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes and do a VBS, the scripture for the day, maybe do it a week long. I'm not sure, but I may play around with that to see what that looks like, because then when Allison talked about, is it evangelistic or is it discipleship, then that's still an evangelistic tool, because whoever gets on live will hear it and maybe be able to help someone. We always give our website information so that they can get in touch with us if they're not saved. So we are always looking at it as an evangelistic piece, but also a way to encourage. So just another thought.
Good. Anybody else? Well, I just want to thank you all for joining. I want to thank you for adding your input, because this Zoom meeting was all about your ideas, and hearing what your churches are doing and how you are reaching kids for Christ, and just the ideas that you have for reaching kids to Christ is definitely an inspiration and can help people around the state. So I appreciate each and every one of you and your input to this Zoom meeting. Oh, you know what? Bethany just joined. I think she realized. We have about 10 minutes, so I want her to share what she did with her church. Hey, Bethany. Bethany?
Hi.
Hey, I think you had our time wrong, but that's okay. We have 10 minutes left, so I want you
to
I want you to share what your church is doing for an alternate VBS type idea, just before of the Zoom meeting.
Okay, well, we are doing, we're doing a one-day fun day that's focused on the gospel, because we're we're going to be short on time, right? So picking the most important lesson that we can think of, which is obviously sharing Christ. And we're going to do water games. We're out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, so we have a lot of land, and we can do slip and slide and water balloon fight and all that fun stuff that we usually do one day out of VBS. It's like the favorite day that kids have. And I have an idea for sharing the gospel with kids this year that's a little bit different than the God rules we send, you know, I'm not sure what Concrete and Cranes has on their gospel presentation, but this year we're going to do the 3 circles. You can get it from sendnetwork.com, and it's a way of sharing the gospel. I've got an idea to spray paint 3 circles out on the grass and have the kids kind of be very interactive. I'm not sure how it's all going to work, but we decided to do just a one-day VBS because we're a small church and we don't have a lot of workers. Pretty much when we do VBS, everybody helps. And we have a lot of older members and people that really could be affected by the virus. So we're going to have less help and probably less kids than we would normally have. So that's why we decided to do just a one day.
Great. And I think that's another emphasis on the importance of being evangelistic with our VBS, just having that be our purpose, and remembering continually that our purpose has got to be evangelistic, whether that be using the traditional VBS, whether that be using an alternative VBS, whether it be Backyard Bible Club or virtual. No matter what we choose to do with Vacation Bible School this year, making sure we are evangelistic in it. So I would just challenge you all to be creative, think outside of the box, new ways that you can minister to your kids in your community, and, you know, pray about it. Pray that God would just do something great. He's drawing families to him every day. And I think that COVID in some ways has caused families to draw closer together. And, you know, I think that it's forcing us to think about how we can minister to our own families as well. So I think that as we look forward, I'm excited. I think God is going to do great things through VBS, whether it be this summer or this fall or even in the spring. If you have any questions or if you want to talk some more, I'll be on here for a second. But I just want to thank you all for joining and for being a part of this today. And yeah, I will contact those of you who have commented that you would like some curriculum or decorations, and we'll get that to you. Thank you, guys.